Now, we've been getting a lot right recently on the channel. We've not been getting it all right, but I think we've been making some outstanding calls with the Premier League predictions so far this season. And as we get into the final furlong, we're starting to really see now who is going to be crowned champions, who is going to qualify for Europe, and who is going down, who's getting relegated. And this weekend starts the Premier League weekend off in a bit of a passing of the guard kind of vibe. It's also the last season for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, as we know, and it's the same for his opponent, David Moyes. Probably, very likely, I think, almost certainly won't be staying on at West Ham. And both teams are not really where they want to be, but they're actually not really that far off. But the performances on the pitch for the last 2 or 3 games for each team respectively has put them in a mire of despair, where really this is a 6-pointer for both teams, although they're not directly competing. Man City with 2 games in hand really does feel like it nullifies Liverpool's second place position here on the table. And this is really last chance saloon for the Reds and for Jurgen Klopp if they are going to maintain their challenge, their ferocity in that top 3, to go the distance all the way to the last game of the season to see who is going to be crowned champions. And West Ham look like they could maybe get into the top 7 or so and fight for a European spot, because with the way both teams play, even with West Ham being at home, you know how it's going to go. Liverpool are coming into this game, they're going to be putting Trent forward, they're going to be putting Robbo forward. The midfield, let's see who starts. Maybe Endo does come back in. Maybe Harvey Elliott gets a bit of a shout from the beginning. But if it's a similar, basically the same team as what we've seen in recent weeks, with Diaz off the wide line, along with Salah, with Darwin in attack here, West Ham are just going to shrink in. They're going to make their team nice and compact, big and powerful, and really hard to play through. And if Liverpool are going to try and find Darwin, he's going to need to crash bang wallop his way through people to get shots on goal, as well as Salah, which will play straight into Liverpool's hands, but it also does really play into West Ham's hands as well, because when you've got Paqueta and James Ward-Prowse into the top end of this midfield box here, as soon as they turn the ball and break it over, they want to play Kudus, who could be a fantastic Liverpool player next year, by the way, or Bowen, Mikel, Antonio, whoever else has been this year. That's their main route to go, and that's been a little bit of Liverpool's Achilles heel here, as being a little bit too gegenpress, being a little bit too Jurgen Klopp. So I think we're going to see a lot of goals in this game. Now, West Ham didn't really deliver the goals last weekend against Crystal Palace that I thought they might. But with West Ham being at home, and with Liverpool really been under pressure to throw the kitchen sink at it and really been under the cosh, I do think West Ham are going to, with hopefully the home support maybe behind them in this one, I can see them getting a goal or 2 in this one, no 2 ways about it. But Liverpool, with them being in this do or die situation, they know they're, after such a pitiful display in the derby, there's no way they don't come to this game absolutely throwing the kitchen sink at it. And we see vintage Trent and Robbo in the wide areas, a front 3 that just screams Jurgen Klopp. And if that midfield can, get the cogs turning, get the ball turning over, get the chance creation on the go, Liverpool could, Crystal Palace scored 5 last week, and I think Liverpool could do the same. I'm going to go with this to be Liverpool 5, West Ham 2. Sadly, with 4 games to go, I think VAR, referees, whatever, the institution everywhere has screwed Wolves one time too many, and I really don't think now any miracle of Wolves maybe breaking into like 8th or 9th is really on the cards now, sadly. With the last goal that was disallowed this weekend, I know Nottingham Forrest came out with a statement, it should really be Wolves. Wolves are the most screwed team in the league with this kind of stuff, and the last one that happened really just is the epitome of the season that they've had in that regard. But Gary O'Neill's been linked to the Liverpool job, he's been linked to the Man United job. He has been doing an amazing job at Wolves, and maybe looking at the team coming into this weekend as they're at home to Luton, this might be the strongest that they've looked. They're not going to play with a back 5, they can play with 3 forwards. Juan, Cunha, Sarabia, all in to start. Maybe it's Doyle or Doherty. If Doherty comes in, maybe it is more of that back 5 kind of vibe, with João Gomez, Lamina being the water carriers. We know the rest of the team very, very well set here. But with 3 up front, actual strikers, no cheat code midfielders playing out of position, or 8 Nuri going up top. They've actually got all these guys fit and available at the same time. Playing a Luton team who are definitely not down and out. And like we say every week, I think when we look at them, they know who they are, they know what they're about, they know their plan of attack, their route to go, and they're quite unapologetic about it. They're not really missing anyone at a glance this weekend. And they really have a significant chance of catching Forrest and staying in the league. And they've only got Wolves really standing in their way coming this weekend, 1 game at a time and all that jazz. I do think Wolves at home, generally get good, I don't want to say bounce back, but good responses, after these VAR decisions and horrible refereeing on-field decisions have went against them in the past so far this season. And with them being at Molineux, with them having all their best players available, you know, I think Wolves are scoring 2 or 3 in this one. That's kind of what's going to happen in this one. But I do feel that Luton, like the thing with Luton and Wolves is they both have a very, like they're both on the same level of being committed to the manager's strategy, the plan of attack and all the rest of it. And they kind of mirror each other in terms of like, with Wolves playing that front three and then with maybe somebody else like Doyle or Semedo or Nouri joining the attack. Against that Luton back five, like when Wolves are in possession, Luton will be kind of comfortable. I don't think they're really going to be out their depth too much. And Wolves, defensively, recovering into space, etc., etc., they've not been that robust or resolute. It really has been their attack and their tactics that have kept them in games and got them the points they've got. So I actually think Luton are going to be fighting this one all the way. I'm going to go with a Desmond Tutu for this one. It's going to be a draw. Now, Geordies, there is nothing to be ashamed about losing to Ollie Glasner's Crystal Palace in the midweek. They are the wild card upon his appointment between now and the end of the season. You've seen that the weekend with West Ham, and obviously they took the 3 points from yourself, sadly. But I do think that this final 5 matches is Eddie Howe's, is Newcastle's. I'll ascend up the table, and maybe they could still breach the top 5. Now, Sheffield United couldn't come at a better point of the season for me for Newcastle. Being at St James's Park winning 3 points is an absolute must. Harvey Barnes, Elliot Anderson back in the team, and we are really starting to see, with the exception of the Crystal Palace game, you know, the rise, the ascent of Isak and Gordon is one of the most formidable attack partnerships in European football. And the evergreen Bruno Guimaraes and Schär through the spine there. You really feel that Newcastle are going to put on a bit of a display, a bit of an exhibition here. Sheffield United, pretty dead and buried, but the individual players here won't be coming, you know, already beaten, as it were. If they do go for Wes Fotheringham in goals over Ivo Grbic, I know Grbic hasn't been great, but Wes Fotheringham for me is not a Premier League goalkeeper, and that might just be the little tip over the top that Newcastle need early on in this game to gain control of it and really, you know, make it quite a comfortable afternoon overall. When Newcastle do get control of the game early on and they are at home, they're able to go on the front foot, get the fans behind them and create chances and get shots away. I think they can score as many goals really as they want until, you know, the legs give up and they need to use the bench more and more as the game goes on. I think Newcastle will score 3 in this one, especially being at home. Sheffield United, I don't think will definitely have enough chances or enough quality to get a goal in this one. So I'm really on the fence what to do. But I do think with Newcastle being at home and with it being this top 5, you know, like last roll of the dice, let's try and get there, boys. I think they're going to do it. It's going to be 3-0 to Newcastle. Now, not to over-egg it, this is kind of like a little mini London Cup final, as it were, as we see Fulham and Crystal Palace go head-to-head. It's two of, for Crystal Palace, maybe just in a little bit more recent history, but this season, you know, having some green shoots of progress, you know, and they're really starting to develop their identity as a club and showing that, you know, on their budget, with their resources, they can compete in the Premier League. And really, if one of these teams is going to crack the top 10 before the season's out, it will probably be the winner of this game. As we see with Palace, they've won 3 games in a row. Eze and Elise are starting to click and starting to fire. And Fulham have not been in great form recently, although they are still kind of maintaining performances and maybe just haven't been quite getting the points over the line. A very, very, very consistent starting 11 from Fulham. They don't look to be making any changes, especially being at Craven Cottage. Whereas Crystal Palace, again, thankfully for them, they're not needing to rotate Eze and Elise out the team. Mateta is in the form of his career, and this is a pretty unchanged team as well for recent weeks. So I think this is going to be a great encounter. This is going to be a great one for the neutral because both teams set up to entertain. Both teams set up to score goals and try and win the match. And they both love to turn the ball over quickly and within 2 or 3 passes, turn defence into attack in a controlled way. It's not old school counter-attack where it's just shelling the ball up, but it's knowing this is the playmaker, find him, and then this is the winger with pace running into space. Let's try and find him as well. And, you know, both teams have got keepers that can make some saves and all the rest of it, but I do feel this is a game where the magic players, the top-end players in both teams, make the difference. A few of them might be in the shop window as well, which maybe adds that extra motivation. And with it being in London, all players will be kind of, I think, up for the cup, as it were. I think Fulham will get a goal in this one. There'll be no Crystal Palace clean sheet, but I do think Crystal Palace are going to take the win. And with their scoring prowess, their scoring form recently, I don't want to over-egg them and say they'll get any more than 3, but I think they can get 3 in this one. Wouldn't be surprised if there was 4, but I'm going to go with 3-1 to Crystal Palace. If Burnley ever needed any encouragement, they're going to get 3 points off of Man United, then they got everything they needed watching that Coventry semi-final. And this weekend, with Man United maybe being in, thank God we're in a cup final, it maybe save our blushes if we could maybe loot box, jam our way into getting a medal against Man City in a cup final. Don't see that happening. But, you know, maybe there's a little bit of, oh, good, we've done that. Because in the league, Man United have been, you know, they've been flattering to deceive. They've been in this kind of 6th position area for a little while now, but 51 goals scored, 50 conceded. 12 losses, you know, it is a bit of a false position. I think Newcastle have got their number and could be overtaking them quite soon. Because I think they might actually drop points here against a Burnley team who, if Luton can't get anything against Wolves, Burnley could take control over getting out of that trapdoor and pulling Nottingham Forest into the relegation zone. Man United have got all the quality starting in this game that they could wish for, they could ask for. We see Casemiro and Maguire coming in to be central defence here. And I don't think Burnley are going to like really dominate the game or really go for it or anything because, you know, it's at Old Trafford as well. But, you know, like they have got their backs to the wall. They've got nothing to lose. This is like a cup final for them. And it's like, if you can get 3 points here at Old Trafford against Man United, and if Luton were to drop points against Wolves, then Burnley are on 26, and they are the ones grabbing Nottingham Forest, like I said before. The team's not covered with that much quality, but Muric could keep the scoring down. A very safe, happy goalkeeper, a bit of a wall when he's in form. Just need to make sure he doesn't make any clangers. And if Burnley are going to get something out of this game for me, it is going to be low scoring. Now, since I've been doing these Premier League predictions, whenever I say, oh, Man U, take my bias out of it. Man U will probably get the job done. They don't. And when I think Man U are going to slip up this weekend, they end up getting the job done. So I always really do struggle to think about predicting Man United. I think 2 goals is going to be on the menu here. Burnley are definitely going to get 1. So Man United are either going to win 2-1 or maybe Burnley can squeak it 2-2. I am going to go that Burnley gets something from this game. Don't think they can get the 3 points, just with a real lack of quality between the two of them. I'm going to go with Man United 2, Burnley 2. Since Everton have picked up 9 points out of the last 12 available to them, they've actually got really close to Brentford, really disconnecting themselves from the bottom of the table, the relegation fight. And this weekend they come face to face with one another in a game. You know, I feel like a lot of games this weekend have got 6 points on the line, but with 2 points separating them in the table, you know, if Everton were to beat Brentford, they maybe just climb over them in the table, just put further distance between the bottom. But if Everton were to lose with 4 games to go, it's not totally unimaginable, because who knows really how many points Everton actually have. Maybe they get pulled into the pit of despair. This looks to be the team that they'll be lining up at home, and having won in the derby and the good run of form they're on, they will be really confident coming into this game, because Brentford haven't really been themselves this season, and although they've never really been involved in the bottom of the table, they've never really got into the mid-table picture either. So really in that no man's land of a season for Thomas Frank and the boys, who look to be kind of full strength, I suppose. Honestly, I don't think there's much to say about this game. I don't think there's many goals either, because both teams like to keep it tight. Both teams have got very robust defences, and, you know, dead balls, throw-ins, corners, all that kind of thing is the best friend of both teams, and that might cancel it out. You know, I think this is, I don't know, I'm going to say 1 each. And then on Saturday night, we've got probably the biggest game of the weekend for me, where Aston Villa are hosting Chelsea. And a game that Aston Villa, if they win this, really have both hands back on the top 4, top 5 Champions League qualification race it's on. And, you know, this game is a real compare and contrast between managers, clubs, development situation, and what it means to be a good coach and a well-run club. I did a full breakdown, a full preview of this game. If you want to catch that, I'll link it at the end of this video. But I really do think that this is going to be a case of what Aston Villa turns up. If it is the predicted team here, where we see Tielemans in as the auxiliary attacking player over a Moussa Diaby, maybe it's a wee bit more cagey in the first half, because more of a man-for-man effort. I would like to see Diaby starting in here and being a bit more wild and free to keep up the play that we've seen from him over the last couple of weeks, linking up with Morgan Rogers and Bailey in the wide spaces and feeding off of anything that Watkins can do. Maybe that means then that Konsa would be moved to right back with Diego Carlos coming in at centre back, because Chelsea look to be playing Conor Gallagher in the front line, and you know he's going to be dropping into midfield and trying to compete against that Aston Villa midfield and the chess ball that gets played here. But when you see a back line there of Disasi, Shalaba, Silva and Cucurella, you know, Aston Villa, I've been saying it all season long, they are fantastic at scoring 3 goals a game, and I really don't see anything in this Chelsea team that's going to slow them or stop them down. You know, I think Aston Villa could score 4 goals in this game, and Chelsea, like, do have some weapons, but I do think that this is a game that Aston Villa probably get the clean sheet in, because Aston Villa are probably the best equipped club in the Premier League to just absolutely nullify Cole Palmer's supply and his connection with the rest of his team. Now, maybe he's still capable of the individual brilliance. Maybe he gets a goal. Maybe he does create an assist off the back of it. But I do feel that this Aston Villa team is one of the best in the Premier League, department by department, you know, all across the pitch and in the dugout. So I'm going to go for a famous win for the Villa. I'm going to go 4-0. Now, Roberto De Zerbi has been linked to the good and the great of European football. He has 2 games in hand on 10th position Bournemouth, and they face off. And this game is giving me kind of similar vibes to Fulham and Palace, but you do feel when it's this a little bit higher in the table here, there's just a little bit more on the line, because both teams could catch Chelsea and in turn West Ham if they really put on a great run, especially Brighton. with those 2 games in hand over Bournemouth, still get 6 games to play in the league. Now, I don't have a predicted team for Brighton yet because they're still to play Man City at point of recording. Andoni Iraola's Bournemouth have been fairly consistent across this year in terms of play style and personnel. You really know what you're getting from them. And yeah, it's a pretty much full-strength team here from them. I can see this game being quite cagey in a rather, exciting way, where there will be a lot of turnover of the ball, lots of chances for both teams, and the goalkeepers are both going to be very, very busy. Bournemouth have not been that prolific yet this season, where they've managed to really kick on and score lots and lots of goals, and I don't think Brighton are going to give them the chance to do that. I hope Enes Ünal can get a goal off the bench, because I think he's been coming on little by little and impressing a little bit more and more. I do think Bournemouth have got 2 goals in them, especially being at home. But I think Brighton have got the potential to match them here, so depending on what shape they come out of after the Man City game, it's kind of hard to tell at this point. But I think being at home, that extra day or whatever of recovery, I think that might just split the 2 teams here. And I'm going to go for Bournemouth to win it by 2-1. Now, for what is most people's game of the weekend, we have got a North London derby, unlike any other we've had in recent memory. Arsenal going for the title. Every point is a prisoner. They need to win every game and keep this momentum of form going up, especially since being eliminated from the Champions League. And they come up against Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur, who have been occupying the top spaces in the league all season long, with a rather threadbare squad, still trying to develop itself and really get a handle on, the main players of the squad, the style of play, and all the rest of it. So this is a game that Tottenham will be coming into hoping to crash the party. They've still got 6 games left to play this season. Arsenal have only got 4. And, as far as derby matches go in North London, like I said, I don't think it's been much bigger in recent memory. Brennan Johnson, for me, is probably one of the most unsung kind of talents in the Premier League at the moment, and he looks to be getting a starting place here for Tottenham alongside Kulusevski and Son in attack with Maddison in support. The rest of the team does kind of pick itself, with Udogie being out, unavailable. Everyone is kind of best in position, and it is pretty much copy and paste for Arsenal. Maybe you'd want Martinelli in there over Trossard, but Trossard's form has been very, very good. And with Partey coming back into that midfield, just when you thought Rice and Odegaard couldn't get any better, you just feel this extra level is coming to them. So this is going to be like a genuine head-loss derby game. Ange is obviously just off the back of being Celtic manager, where he's used to coming into derby matches like this, where it is do or die, titles on the line, and it is a high-pressure, pressure cooker situation, if you will. I think Tottenham will be swinging into this, wanting to be the party poopers. I think Ange will really be setting the team up. I think the stadium will be really set up to get on Arsenal's back, make it really difficult and hostile, and try and push Tottenham into getting an early goal or 2 and making this game a real end-to-end spectacle. I think that's the way it is going to go. I think we're going to get goals in both halves of this one. The benches for both teams are going to be able to influence it as well, since Tottenham finally have a bench, they can actually use some players from it as well. And really, I have got no idea what this scoreline is going to be. I actually think Tottenham might have the ability to just about squeak it here, but ultimately, I do think Arsenal maybe just have the title, one hand on the title. After coming so close last year, with everything I said just coming into this game, maybe they've just about got enough. I'm going to go for Arsenal to win this by 3-2. And the final game of the weekend we've got is the ultimate top versus bottom. We've got Man City, 2 games in hand, looking to regain top spot in the Premier League once they catch up, of course, against a Nottingham Forest team who, like we've said throughout the video, have got so many people trying to grab them and pull them into the relegation zone or get further away detached from them. After all the shenanigans last week with tweeting out and refs and yada yada, all the rest of it, you just feel coming up against Man City this weekend, they're probably not going to get any favours anytime soon. Now, they are at home. Maybe the siege mentality kicks in, and the talent of Morgan Gibbs-White and maybe some of the other players in this team might give them a bit of a fighter's chance in this one. But ultimately, Man City have been there, done it, and this squad, top to bottom, left to right, the bench, everything in between, Nottingham Forest do not have a snowball's chance in hell in this one for me whatsoever. I can see Man City scoring early in this one and really taking the wind out of Nottingham Forest sails. And really, if Pep Guardiola's Man City at this point of the season score early and score often in the first half, this could be something crazy. I didn't say it earlier because I think this could be the highest scoring game of the weekend. I think City are going to go out and put a famous result on the board. I'm going to go for the extravagant, and I'm going to say 7-0 to Man City, because Pep Guardiola loves goals. Man City love to kill teams off, and when you look at that table, Man City will be thinking we want to get some of that goal difference caught up if at all possible with 6 games to go. and getting a huge result, a bloodthirsty result against Nottingham Forest, I think is on the menu. Don't forget to jump into the comment section on this one and let me know what you think the scores are going to be for the weekend. If you enjoyed this video, you might catch the preview of Aston Villa versus Chelsea. There's more content on screen for you now. Hit the subscribe button, stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.